Picture this. You're watching the first crewed mission back to the moon since the 70s. We're talking humanity's big return to the lunar surface after more than 50 years. But there's a twist.
Yeah.
The astronauts are going to be stepping out in style, rocking spacesuits designed with, wait for it, Prada. I know, right? Not exactly what comes to mind when you think about space
A
exploration.
totally unexpected pairing. So we've got press releases from Axiom Space, they're the company behind the spacesuits, and from Prada themselves. Plus, there's an NPR article that really dives into the whole collaboration. What we're going to try and do today is figure out what on earth a fashion powerhouse is doing designing spacesuits. What kind of challenges are they facing? And how did this even come about?
It's wild. So Axiom Space and Prada actually unveiled the AxEMU spacesuit design at the International Astronautical Congress in Milan. If you haven't seen pictures yet, you should really check them out online. They're pretty amazing.
And the timing of this is important.
Yeah.
The Artemis III mission that these spacesuits are for is a landmark event. It's not just our return to the moon after all this time. It's going to be the mission that lands the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface.
Okay, that's huge. So tell me, what's the main purpose of this super fashionable AxEMU spacesuit? Is it just for strutting around on the moon?
Well, they'll definitely be making history in them. But seriously, the AxEMU is designed for both lunar exploration and missions in low Earth orbit. Axiom Space really focused on making it safer, more mobile, and higher performing than previous spacesuits.
Right, so where does Prada fit into all of this? Did they design the whole thing?
Actually, they focused specifically on the outer layer of the suit. They brought their expertise in high-performance fabrics and manufacturing techniques.
Yeah.
Think about it. Prada's known for making clothes that are both durable and beautiful, whether it's for a runway show or a challenging mountain expedition.
So it's not just about making astronauts look good for the cameras.
Definitely more than just aesthetics. Prada's input was really crucial in making the suit more functional and comfortable. Those astronauts are going to be working in these suits for hours on end.
And the moon is not exactly a walk in the park. I imagine there are some pretty unique challenges when designing a spacesuit for the lunar surface.
Absolutely. The lunar environment is really harsh. Temperatures can swing wildly, especially in those permanently shattered areas of the moon. The AxEMU has to be able to protect astronauts from those extreme conditions.
And then there's that nasty moon dust. I've heard it can really wreak havoc on equipment.
It's true that abrasive lunar dust can damage equipment and even pose health risks to astronauts. So another challenge was creating an outer layer that could withstand that constant bombardment of dust.
So how did they manage to tackle all these challenges? What kind of cool innovations did they pack into this AxEMU spacesuit?
Well, for starters, they've really gone overboard with safety. The AxEMU has multiple redundant safety systems. That basically means they've built in backups upon backups.
So even if one system fails, there's another one ready to take over. That's reassuring.
Exactly. Plus, it has onboard diagnostics that are constantly monitoring the suit's performance, alerting the astronauts to any potential problems.
It's like a mini spacecraft wrapped around the astronaut. What about life support? How do they breathe and stay cool in that thing?
Good question. It's got a regenerable carbon dioxide scrubbing system. It filters out the CO2 from their breath. And to combat the heat, they've included some pretty robust cooling technology. You know those astronauts are going to be working hard on the lunar surface, so staying cool is essential.
And I bet those custom-made gloves are pretty important too.
Absolutely. Dexterity is key when you're handling tools and equipment in a pressurized suit. They've also put a lot of thought into visibility, with advanced coatings on the helmet and visor for better clarity in the sometimes dark lunar environment.
You know, one of the things that struck me about this whole project is that they designed the spacesuit to fit a much wider range of body types than previous suits.
Yeah. The AxEMU can accommodate people from the 1st to the 99th percentile in terms of size. So basically, it's designed to fit almost anyone. It's a huge step forward in making space exploration more inclusive.
That's a fantastic change. It means that more people will have the opportunity to experience space travel and contribute to scientific discoveries. So how long can an astronaut actually wear this suit during a spacewalk?
They've designed it to allow for at least 8 hours of continuous spacewalk time. Imagine that a full workday on the moon.
Okay, but before we send them out for a full workday on the moon, this spacesuit has to go through some incredibly rigorous testing, right?
Oh, you better believe it. This suit has been through the ringer. They've done pressurized simulations, underwater tests at NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab to mimic the feeling of weightlessness, and even reduced gravity simulations.
So they're really trying to throw everything they can at it to make sure it's ready for the real deal. Has it passed all these tests?
So far, so good. It actually just completed a critical pressurized simulation. the first of its kind since the Apollo era, and it was a success. The AxEMU is nearing its final stage of development.
It's amazing news, but haven't there been some delays with the Artemis program overall? I thought we were supposed to be back on the moon by now.
Yeah, the initial goal was to land astronauts on the moon in 2024, but that target has been pushed back. Part of the reason is the complexity of spacesuit development. I mean, we're talking about cutting-edge technology here. It takes time to get everything right.
It makes sense. They're essentially building a miniature spacecraft that has to keep a human alive and functioning in one of the most extreme environments we know of.
Exactly. And this brings us back to Axiom Space's partnership with NASA and the growing role of private companies in space exploration.
Right. Axiom Space received a pretty hefty task order from NASA to develop these suits, something like $228 million, if I remember correctly.
That's right. It shows how important private companies are becoming in pushing the boundaries of space exploration. NASA is relying more and more on companies like Axiom Space to help them achieve their ambitious goals.
So it's kind of a win-win situation. NASA gets its high-tech spacesuits, and companies like Axiom Space get to be at the forefront of innovation in space exploration. But I still can't get over the fact that Prada is involved. It just seems so surreal.
I know, right? Prada making spacesuits. It's like something straight out of a science fiction movie. But it also makes you think, what other unexpected partnerships might we see in the future as space travel becomes more common?
That's a great question. Maybe someday we'll be talking about spacesuit fashion shows.
Maybe we will. But for now, let's try to unpack what this partnership really means and what it tells us about the future of space exploration.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's dive deeper into this Prada Axiom Space collaboration.
You know, it's fascinating to think about how this collaboration might change how people view space exploration.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having a brand like Prada involved definitely adds a level of style and excitement. It could attract a wider audience. Space travel has often been seen as this exclusive, very technical field.
Exactly. But bringing in a name like Prada makes it feel more relatable, even aspirational. It could spark interest in people who might not have considered themselves space enthusiasts before.
Speaking of aspirational, let's not forget how significant the Artemis III mission is in itself. Landing the first woman and first person of color on the moon is a huge step forward for inclusivity in STEM fields.
Absolutely. It sends a powerful message to young people everywhere that space exploration is for everyone, no matter their background.
I remember reading in one of the press releases that the AxEMU was designed with a much wider range of body types in mind than previous spacesuits.
That's right. It accommodates sizes from the 1st to the 99th percentile, meaning it can fit a much more diverse group of astronauts.
So when they say it fits the 99th percentile, does that mean it can fit almost anyone? It's not just for those super tall astronauts anymore?
Exactly. This is a major improvement. Yeah. And it reflects a growing awareness of the need for inclusivity in spacesuit design. Older suits were primarily designed for a male athletic physique, which really limited who could become an astronaut.
It's great to see that changing. Okay, so we've talked about the technical side, the design challenges, and the social implications, but what about the business side of things? How does a partnership like this even happen?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Axiom Space received a substantial task order from NASA to develop these next-generation spacesuits.
Right, a whopping $228 million.
That's correct. It highlights how important commercial partnerships are becoming in space exploration. NASA is increasingly relying on private companies like Axiom Space to develop and build key components for their missions.
So it's mutually beneficial. NASA gets cutting-edge spacesuits, and companies like Axiom Space get to push the boundaries of innovation.
Precisely. It's a symbiotic relationship that benefits everyone involved and helps advance the goals of space exploration. And in this case, it brought Prada into the fold, which nobody saw coming.
Out of curiosity, do we know why Axiom Space specifically chose to partner with Prada? What made their expertise so valuable for this project?
While we don't have any official statements on their selection process, Prada's skills are definitely unique. Their knowledge of high-performance materials, especially their experience in crafting garments that are both durable and flexible, was likely a major factor.
It's like if you can design clothes for the slopes of Mount Everest, the lunar surface isn't that much of a stretch.
That's a great analogy. And Prada's reputation for innovative design and attention to detail probably aligned perfectly with Axiom Space's vision for the AxEMU. They weren't just going for function, they wanted a spacesuit that was visually stunning too.
It's almost like they're creating a new category of space-age couture.
Perhaps. It's definitely a unique and unexpected collaboration that challenges our traditional ideas about what a spacesuit should look like It really makes you wonder how fashion and design might play a larger role in future space missions.
I, for one, am all for a little more style in space. But obviously, functionality and safety have to come first.
Absolutely. Those are non-negotiables when it comes to spacesuit design. But I think there's room for innovation and creativity within those parameters. We're talking about creating garments for one of the harshest environments imaginable. So why not make them visually appealing as well?
It's almost like we're witnessing the birth of a new industry, space fashion.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. And who knows what other unexpected collaborations we'll see. Maybe partnerships between space agencies and sportswear companies, tech giants, or even artists and designers?
Imagine a spacesuit with integrated augmented reality features, or one that uses bioluminescent materials for nighttime visibility. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
You're getting it. It's a great reminder that space exploration isn't just about science and engineering. It's about human ingenuity and pushing the limits of what's possible. And sometimes that involves incorporating ideas and perspectives from unexpected places like the world of high fashion.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. The Prada and Axiom Space partnership has really opened my eyes to how much the landscape of space exploration is changing.
It's a constant evolution. What was once the stuff of science fiction is becoming reality right before our eyes. As we venture further into the cosmos, we can expect even more groundbreaking innovations and collaborations that challenge our ideas about what's achievable.
So, to all our listeners out there, keep looking up at the stars. The future of space exploration is looking more exciting and stylish than ever before.
And remember, the next time you see an image of an astronaut walking on the moon, don't just think about the science and technology that made it possible. Take a moment to appreciate the design, the artistry, the human creativity that went into making that moment a reality. It's a true testament to collaboration and the boundless potential of the human spirit.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring.
Yeah, it really is amazing to think about. Something as seemingly simple as a spacesuit could represent such a huge shift in how we think about space exploration. It is, isn't it? And, it kind of begs the question, will this blend of practicality and aesthetics influence future spacesuit designs? Could this be like the start of a whole new era?
It's a fascinating thought. I mean, spacesuits have always been purely functional, almost utilitarian in their design. But as space travel becomes more accessible, more commercialized, will we start to see a greater emphasis on style and personalization?
It's definitely possible. Imagine a future where astronauts can customize their spacesuits, choosing different colors, patterns, maybe even brand logos. It could be another way to express their individuality and even foster a sense of team spirit.
Like racing suits for the ultimate off-world adventure.
Exactly. And think about the potential for branding and sponsorship. There could be a whole new way for space agencies and companies to generate revenue and fund those increasingly ambitious missions we were talking about.
That's a really interesting perspective, but of course, any changes to the design would have to prioritize safety and functionality above all else, but we wouldn't want to sacrifice performance just for the sake of looking good.
Absolutely. Safety always has to be the top priority. But I think there's definitely room for innovation and creativity within those parameters. I mean, we're talking about creating garments for one of the harshest environments imaginable. So why not make them visually appealing as well?
It's almost like we're witnessing the birth of a new industry, space fashion.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. And who knows what other unexpected collaborations we might see. Maybe partnerships between space agencies and sportswear companies, tech giants, or even artists and designers.
Imagine a spacesuit with integrated augmented reality features, or one that uses bioluminescent materials for nighttime visibility. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
You're getting it. It's a great reminder that space exploration isn't just about science and engineering. It's about human ingenuity and pushing the limits of what's possible. And sometimes that involves incorporating ideas and perspectives from unexpected places, like the world of high fashion.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. The Prada and Axiom Space partnership has really opened my eyes to how much the landscape of space exploration is changing.
It's a constant evolution.
Mhm.
What was once the stuff of science fiction is becoming reality right before our eyes. As we venture further into the cosmos, we can expect even more groundbreaking innovations and collaborations that challenge our ideas about what's achievable.
So, to all our listeners out there, keep looking up at the stars. The future of space exploration is looking more exciting and stylish than ever before.
And remember, the next time you see an image of an astronaut walking on the moon, don't just think about the science and technology that made it possible. Take a moment to appreciate the design, the artistry, the human creativity that went into making that moment a reality. It's a true testament to collaboration and the boundless potential of the human spirit.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring.